Take real estate as a shot or as a fully stocked cooler. This is the 5 o'clock somewhere Real Estate Investor Podcast. We're bringing common sense back to real estate investment. So crack open your beverage of choice, sit back and relax, and allow us to learn you a thing or two.
Welcome to 5 o'clock somewhere Real Estate Podcast. Today we're going to talk to Lawrence Walski, one of my good investors and a friend. Also, name of his company is Walski Ventures LLC. Lawrence has been buying, flipping, all kinds of stuff in Memphis. So we're going to talk about it, what he's doing here, and get some insight.
We are sponsored by Title Assurance and Escrow, a title company here in Cordova that does all of our closings, title work, escrows, and we only use Title Assurance and Escrow. That relationship is very important because we can get things done for our investors quickly and easily. So to speak with Title Assurance and Escrow, call 901-737-3332. Ask for Chris or April.
All right, welcome back to Lawrence Walski. So Lawrence and I met through another investor of mine, and I think your first property was...
Ramsey's.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay. So Lawrence was buying from wholesalers, rehabbing, and then flipping. But I think in Ramsey's, you actually held that one, didn't you?
No, I ended up selling that one.
You ended up selling it?
Yeah, I ended up selling it. That was the first one I sold with you, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the one that you held?
Vivia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nutbush.
So what I want to do is we've had Lawrence on before. Lawrence, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29 years old. So he's a new investor. A lot of our listeners are young investors trying to get started or just getting started. So it's always good to talk to guys like Lawrence who have started this process a little over a year ago and learned a lot very quickly. Thank goodness you haven't lost weight. You haven't lost too much, right? I mean, I know you've had some moments where some things got a little hairy for you, but first thing I want to do is let's talk about how many properties you currently own, how many have you purchased, rehabbed, and flipped to date?
Got it. So I currently own 7 properties. Hopefully that will be 6 by the end of next week as we're under contract on one. So I have, right now, I believe I'm at 7 exits. So that is 6 flips or 6. So we have 4 sales. 3 of them are turnkey. 1 is refinanced and 1 wholesale. And then I guess working on the 7th exit. I may be missing one thing, but
you're not holding on to them long term for yourself.
So most of them not. Most of them it's the strategy of come in, renovate, buy distressed, renovate, and put Section 8 tenant in, and then sell to investor based off of the cash flow. Though I did keep one, and I do have one more that I'm in the process of refinancing right now. Binghampton, 5-bedroom, 2-bath. Was really hard to rent out because there's not too many 5-bed vouchers.
Sure.
But once you get it, I mean, it's gonna be free cash flow about $700 a month. It's
what's
great.
what's the MHA voucher amount?
$1,775.
Jeez, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what was your all-in cost on that property?
So I went a little bit higher than I'd like. So this is one of the only properties I bought on the MLS this year. And this one, I'm all in it right now at about 150. I think it's going to we're in the appraisal process, should appraise about 175, 180. So I'm a little bit more in than I'd want to be. And that just came from some renovation surprises.
But you're all in at 150. You're getting
1775, yeah.
1775 a month. So your ROI is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's appraising at 175,000. So you could, I get it. If you flip it, by the time you're done with your commissions and costs and closing costs and all that, you're going to be probably making a couple $1,000 and that's it.
Yeah. But this is a great hold. And it's in Binghampton, and it's in a gentrification path also. So it's right below Sam Cooper.
Yep.
It's in the Chickasaw Garden subdivision. So it's a great long-term hold.
That does sound like a great opportunity. So we've done a few. Let me ask you this question. From the first one you did, I think we met immediately after that, to today. What's changed in your process? What's changed in your formula? How many times have you changed your business plan compared to what you thought you were going to do versus what you're actually doing?
And your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the first time it was on, I kind of talked about thinking it would be my older naive mindset where it was going to be more plug and play. You could just get your GC, buy your property, Right now, I think I kind of adopted not being cynical, but questioning everything, kind of making sure that what's my downside here? Look at your downside first, not your upside first. That is the biggest change in how I think about things.
Because you've realized that you've had some issues that have come up after you've purchased a property, you start the rehab and then other stuff comes up and then you realize, oh crap, I'm not making the money I want to make.
Yep.
So you're now being more conservative on the front end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You're buying on a worst case scenario instead of best case scenario.
Yeah, buy on the worst case scenario, not the best case scenario. It's really easy to lick your chops and be like, ooh, this is going to be so good. But you got to think about, all, rentability of it. There's always surprises. There's always surprises. So you have to budget for surprises. I wasn't always budgeting for surprises, sewage lines, things like that,
Things that just come up. A wise man once told me that he could take a piece of paper and solve all the world's problems. Right? It was great on paper.
Yeah,
but in actuality, it's probably not doable.
Well, how good's a sale pitch?
It was pretty good. So what would you say the single greatest thing has changed from the day you started till today? What is the one thing that you say that I don't look at it this way anymore, or I've changed how I do it?
Well, I feel like I understand the marketplace. Like Frazier's my bread and butter area. Marketplaces are living, breathing entities. Just like a stock market, just like crypto, anything like that. The barriers to entry are different, but my comfortability in the market is dramatically grown. So I've been able to just do a few wholesale plays, which I really like. With Pamela and now Prior. So I've liked those. Where, I'm able to just find, essentially it's just like wholesaling, but, I'm able to source it off market and then bring it to market and essentially arbitrage it onto MLS. Because MLS is the best marketplace, So I think I'm being a little long-winded here. I'm sorry.
No. I wanted to mention that you just started wholesaling somewhat. Instead of buying, rehabbing, flipping, you're actually picking some stuff up and then deciding, you know what, I can just flip it tomorrow, make an extra $8,000 and be done with it.
Yep.
And doing that in volume. And we've worked a couple of deals together. You got another one. I think it fell apart this morning, though. I had a buyer for it. She's going to wait till December.
Oh, yeah, for that.
But I've got a lot of buyers that are looking for those type of deals. Some of them got specifics. I've got one guy out of California. He'll pay up to $200,000 all in on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage. That's his 3 specific needs. He wants brick. Doesn't have to have brick. He may bend the rule on that one. But I have a lot of buyers like Amish that's purchased, I think, 2 of yours now. Or one of yours.
Yeah.
That he's rehabbing.
One.
Pamela?
Yeah.
So, we talk a lot about the Memphis market, and it's very difficult. I get guys that call me all the time and say, hey, I want to start buying and rehabbing and flipping. And I'm like, well, that sounds good. Well, let me send you my spreadsheet. Let me send you my business plan. I'm like, all right, send it to me. And their cost to do the rehab is well under what I know it's probably going to cost. And that seems to be the biggest problem that they have. And I tell these investors all the time, listen, Lawrence can do it. Tom can do it. These guys can do it because of where they live. They live right here. They pick up the house. They have their own GC. They put their crews in there at cost, right, and make their profit on the sale of the property versus you're going to pay retail. So what it may cost Lawrence $30,000 to do, you're going to pay $55,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there goes your profit. So now you're in a
of
buy, fix, and hold scenario. A lot of times I can get them to go that direction and kind of get out of this pie in the sky, flipping, making $100,000 a year, part-time. But I would say that would be the biggest hang up with these out-of-town investors.
Absolutely. So, they're better off just buying a turnkey property from you if you're out of town. Because, there's so many things that can go wrong when you're not going and looking at the property. No one's going to care about this when you're the owner as much as you. You may have a GC. GC's going to care about getting paid, but typically I'm not speaking bad on GCs, but their motivation is, to complete that project, but they're not as motivated as you are because, it's your property. So,
it's your money.
Yeah. And to get the level of service you need to be an outside investor and do this well and, not have to manage your contractor, you're going to have to pay a lot for a higher level of GC. And that higher level of GC may not always work in some of these niche neighborhoods and some of these neighborhoods, where we're buying houses for close to what they cost to build and, if not less sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is it. I have a background in tech before this. I'm supply chain and tech and analytics, but, this is full time, to find the bids you need to get competitive pricing on your subs and your GCs for this level, for the finish level that's needed for rentals in these types of neighborhoods that effectively cash flow well in Memphis, going out and getting a great full service contractor that's going to, keep, is going to be incredibly professional and really attentive on time and doesn't need any management, just is a fallacy almost. Like it's just, that's how the industry is. And that's how, the type of labor that we're working with is.
I think it's foolish for anybody who lives in California to buy a rehab project and just hire a contractor and say, here, just send me the draw request when you get A, B, C, and on down the line. I would tell you that I would trust Nick if I was out of town, knowing Nick. But let's face it, most of the contractors, you've learned this, most of these contractors are only interested in getting paid. They're going to do what they have to do as quickly as they can, and it's probably not going to be great, and to get paid. And you don't find out that it wasn't right until after you've paid them. That's typically.
Yeah, when Nick comes through and says, well, this, and has a laundry list of things.
As I always tell people, with a contractor, you get three things. You get quality, price, and reliability. Pick two of the three. You're not getting all three.
It's just like when people are in college, you can sleep, you can party, or you can study.
They're right.
You can pick two. Pick two or work.
But eventually the other two are going to, ruin your life.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody hitting the skids after studying too much.
Yeah,
But so we talk a lot about our markets here. 38127 is Fraser, which that's where you're talking. And that's where all your properties are, right?
Not all of them.
You got one that's in Raleigh that we did?
We had no, that was I project managed for it. But,
yes. Okay.
Yeah. But on Windermere.
That was the one Windermere.
Yeah.
But 38127 is a market in Memphis that is emerging.
My favorite market.
The last 3 years ago, you could have bought a house in Fraser for $60,000. Today, your average cost is going to be, if it's turnkey and ready to be moved into, is going to be anywhere from $95,000 to $135,000, $140,000. There's been a significant increase in values, and it's only because all of the investors, such as you, coming into the market and investing the money into these properties, bringing the streets up, bringing the property values up, new constructions coming in, and that is just floating the whole, at least the east part of Fraser. The west part's flopping a little bit. It's kind of waffling, but the east part of Fraser near Nike Amazon is just blowing up.
Mm-hmm. Raleigh, the extension of Raleigh, so you've always said to me that Raleigh's, past 5-6 years has been a fantastic place. And when I think about investing for cash flow in Memphis, Raleigh's kind of the premier marketplace for it. It is, people want to be there. It's not too expensive where you can't really cash flow at all. And, it's kind of the perfect, it's going to appreciate well, and it's not super dangerous. There's a Chick-fil-A there, there's a Starbucks there,
Yeah.
So,
$30 million library, brand new police precinct, hospital.
Yep.
But, the problem with Raleigh is that it's kind of peaked out now.
Saturated.
And we talk about this on a lot of our podcasts, is that don't be a coattail investor, right? A lot of guys are just sitting there waiting till everybody else does it and then like, okay, I'll do it. Well, you're not really an investor at that point. You're just following the lead of people that have been successful, who took the risk and made the money, and now you're going and paying full retail for a property and hoping it cash flows. Fraser is the kind of market I see that investors who want to be an investor and invest in a market that's going to grow and produce profit and cash flow for you is a 38127.
Yeah, I love 38127. That's my favorite farm area, and I think what the benefits that Raleigh's had in recent times are kind of right on the line right there off of New Allen Range line. The Amazon Amazon facility, I believe it's a Sort Center or FC or something like that. I worked for them for a long time, so I'm very well acquainted with how they work. But there's a Nike plant right there too, and then
Nike and Amazon. Yep. They take up a linear mile of real estate.
Yeah, so you have jobs, you have employment. I know one of my tenants in Nutbush is works in Amazon. So there's employment. And I know Fraser historically, and it's evident in the prices, was historically a rough area. It was an area a lot of investors didn't like. But you have stabilization right now from that employment. You got a Kroger right in the middle of there. So with the two things, talk about fundamentals, not being in a food desert and employment, people gravitate towards jobs. So I think when you talk to like older Memphis investors that maybe are, not as quite as active anymore, not, they've already made their money and aren't as aggressive now, Fraser may get a bad rap, but, from the way I see it, you have good access to food, you have good access to employment, and, there's lots of great single family homes and good streets there. So I think it's going to do really well.
For the listeners, let's clarify. We say Raleigh, we say Whitehaven, we say Fraser. Those are actual sometime in our history was a municipality that was annexed into the city of Memphis, but we still call them by their old locations, Raleigh, Fraser, Whitehaven. So they are actually in Memphis. We're not talking about Raleigh, North Carolina. Correct?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the rental market. Let's talk about the renters. We got 70,000 people in Memphis inside the city limits. And there's 340, maybe 341,000 of those are renters. And out of those 341,000 renters, I would probably guess 310,000 of them work in distribution. Work at FedEx, work at the airport, work at UPS, work Nike, work Amazon, which is the reason why our rental market is so stable, because you can always find a renter. Now, this year has been a little more different because, these guys have the same money every 2 weeks is what they get paid. And when their costs went up 25% for food and 20% on gas, they had less money. So they just stay put because they don't have that extra income to put down a deposit to move to a bigger home. So everybody's staying put. So if you evict a tenant or a lease expires and a tenant moves out, we're having longer wait times to get tenants into place. I fully expect that to change in 2025. But that's kind of the double-edged sword of Memphis. While we do have 300 and something thousand renters, and they do all work in distribution, and during COVID, during anything that goes on, guess what? Those companies open up every day, and these people have to go to work. During COVID, FedEx had to keep running. Nike, Amazon, UPS, they all had to keep going.
I was working for Amazon when they were, yes, I was.
Did you have to go in a bubble suit and an air tank?
Well, this was when the CDC was saying, don't wear masks, so in like April of, April, May 2020, I went to a analytics team after that when I was in Amazon. But yeah, I was a ship dock manager.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was on the ground.
And they go to work every day. So that's that's the plus side of the Memphis market. And you can still buy an affordable house that cash flows over 1%. And you've got a huge renter pool, people that are going to have jobs. The downside of that is they literally live paycheck to paycheck, right? So when you live paycheck to paycheck and all of a sudden you blow a tire and have to spend $300 on a tire, guess what? Out of that $500 a month extra they have every month, $300 of it's already gone.
So how do we circumvent that?
Well, I don't know.
There's a nice government program I've heard of
called Memphis Housing Authority.
Yeah, the housing choice voucher.
Yes.
With MHA, I say it like this: if you're going to do it one time as an investor, or it's probably not worth it. If you're going to build a system and scale with it, it's totally worth it. So it takes a little while to get set up. So let me give you some timelines. So,
and for people that don't know, MHA is Memphis Housing Authority, which is a local arm extension of the National Section 8 program.
Yeah, of the HUD. Yeah. I remember I found a tenant for a house. It was a good house, and I'd renovated it, finished it in kind of late December. I found a tenant late December, and then we put our RTA, which is our request for tenancy application. So once that RTA goes in, then that is basically a formal request for them to review the owner and schedule an inspection of the property. So that I did not get my first inspection until mid-February. Yeah, waiting. Now that I'm set up with the system, I've had it to be 2 weeks. So once you're in, it's really quick. But, waiting for it's that first wait, I believe. So I have a Section 8 placement specialist Amisha, who is going to, I had to put her on retainer to do this. So, she charged me a few $100 to put retainer. Then I pay her a full month rent when we get everything, but
it's well worth it.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it because, guaranteed rent, and you're also, at times
you got somebody else taking care of the headaches as well.
You're outperforming the market rents too. So at times, typically. I bought my first property in July of 2023. I owe a combination of self-finance and hard money. And then I have some DSCRs. Hard money is short-term leverage. So typically, a bank, so let's say, conventional loans. They want to, your job is you're underwriting against the job and then assuming that the appraised value matches with it, and it's more about your job than it is the property, things that sell on a comparable sales basis. With hard money, a distressed property, a Fannie Freddie conventional like mortgage isn't going to lend on it because, it needs a lot of work and their systems aren't working. It won't pass an FHA inspection or any type of conventional loan inspection. So hard money comes in as essentially you're going to pay higher interest, you're going to pay points at origin. However, they allow you to finance a distressed property with renovation budget in it to be either refinanced out or be paid off as lien holder once you sell the property.
You buy it. They basically loan you the purchase and the rehab at a certain LTV, loan to value. of what they assume it's going to be worth when it's done.
Correct. Yeah, they don't just loan out for everything. It's instead of underwriting based on you, it's based on the deal.
Yeah, and most of the time, you're putting points down up front.
Yeah,
4 to 5%.
That loan.
But I'd always wanted to be in real estate, and I'd always known Memphis was actually a great cash flow area. I had friends that were in real estate in Nashville, and I'd lived in Nashville, and I knew that, it was very lucrative, and, we were coming off of a boom. So, everyone kind of wanted to be in real estate then, but it seemed like it was the most it was the best use of my capital and time. I feel like I've learned a lot though from my mistakes that I have. I think I would have been a little more careful buying properties that I first had.
I was going to say you should have called Brett sooner.
I should have called Brett sooner. I originally went through an agent that was one of the largest agents in town. They're also connected. I'm not going to say names, of course, but they're also connected to a large hard money lender and large contractor. And the core of what they do is just, I think they kind of. They have a lot of relationships with hedge funds and they put a lot of properties on market, but they're not really, a dual agency. They were looking out for the hedge funds.
I think you're doing well. I know that things are a little waffly, right? But that's that way for all of us. I just had an investor this morning. I had a nice conversation with him. He's like, dude, what is going on? I'm like, what are you asking me for? I don't know. The market sucks right now. But when's the best time to buy real estate? When's the best time to buy investments in the stock market? When they're down, when things aren't great. If you're waiting on things to get great, then you're not an investor. You're just going to coattail your way into it and probably not succeed based on the plan that you put together for yourself. So right now is the time you should be buying.
So I was on YouTube yesterday and I saw a title that was probably in my algorithm pushed to me. And it said, "Why everyone's quitting real estate." And I screenshotted it and sent it to one of my friends who's pretty wealthy crypto investor, knows very good with markets and economics, is a self-made millionaire guy. Like he's probably my number one person for markets, and he goes, "You're at the bottom."
Yeah.
So when you start seeing stuff like that, and we're at a great time. Like right now, with the federal funds rate, started to drop, and with the Fed starting to be on this path towards returning interest rates to a more palatable level, when they keep dropping it, what's eventually going to happen is that, prices are going to increase. But right now we're in this perfect little time window where, I'm thinking about it. I'm trying, I want to sell stuff with you, but I'm like, oh man, I could just refinance it and keep this, and I'm going to be richer in the long run.
That's what I'm trying to say is that now is the time to be buying, because if you want to be an investor, it drives me nuts when I see people who own, have $1 million in the stock market and they're always trading and, trying to buy low and let it ride up. But then they come into Memphis and want to buy everything at retail instead of, waiting. They're waiting for other people to make the move and then they just kind of follow. Good investors don't follow. Good investors lead. They lead in the market. Our builders that are building in Fraser, people told them they were nuts. Well, hell, I know Terry, I know Phil. They've built probably 50 homes in Fraser, brand spanking new. So were they crazy? No, because they probably made about $800,000 doing it.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with them, honestly.
Absolutely.
It makes me not want to buy any more 4-beds. Stick with the 3-2s.
Yeah. Well, Lawrence, I appreciate you coming in, man. It's good to hear from you and get your perspective after a full year and 3 months of doing this on your own. And I will say, for just over a year, you're doing quite well compared to a lot of investors out there. You've done a multitude of properties. You've got a couple that you're holding. You've got your wholesale bits are starting to move now, and you're starting to make some money doing that. So I think you got a bright future in this business.
I appreciate it, Brett. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for listening. Go to our website, mymemphisinvestmentproperties.com, or give us a call at 901-692-7401.
You can follow me on Instagram at Walski Flips Houses if you'd like. I'm fresh, but
perfect.
There.
Yeah. Reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about the Memphis market. We'd love to get you going in this market with helping you meet your goals. We pretty much can do all that for you. So appreciate you listening. Have a good day.
For more common sense real estate tips, listen and subscribe at 5o'clocksomewherepodcast.com. The 5 O'Clock Somewhere Real Estate Investor Podcast is a Sound Ideas Group production.